All right. So first off, congratulations to your team, Waifu Warriors, for getting the clean 2-0 against Mist Mai.
Yeah, thank you.
So, were you guys expecting to do as well as you did against Miss Mai?
Um, well, we had a rough couple of weeks, weeks 3 and 4. So we weren't really expecting much, but we had a match before this. We had a doubleheader tonight, and we did pretty good. So we kind of figured we would just kind of ride that, and it showed in these two games.
Yeah, definitely did. The way I phrased it is that you guys ass blasted Miss Mai. Uh, Definitely in the second game and in the first game.
Yeah.
So this will now put you guys up at it looks like number two or tied for number two with Winky Face.
We won our game earlier, so that actually put us 3 points ahead of that. But they still haven't played their games this week yet, so
Yeah. So it'll be good contesting between you and Winky Face for that second spot. Um, Now,
yep.
tell me about that first game draft. Because you picked up Phoenix, Malthael, Johanna, Stukov, and I can't remember the last pick for you guys off the top of my head.
That was I think that was the character I played, and I played. Oh god, what did I play?
I can actually
Uh,
take a look real fast.
no, I can't believe I'm blanking on this. Because it was the thing I played too, which is even more ironic. Um,
The Hanzo.
oh yeah, oh yeah, of course Hanzo.
So,
Yeah.
so why'd you guys opt for Johanna so early in the draft?
One thing we've been noticing a lot is that there's a lot of prioritization on tanks. Um, especially with Diablo. Like I think it was banned against us both games. No, the first it was banned against us the second game, and they picked it up the first game. But there's a prioritization of tanks, and uh, I guess we as a team feel that the tank role, I guess, is more like there's like higher tier picks, and like so like there's really good picks, and then there's like really bad picks. Like we don't really know if there's that much in between. So we like to prioritize tanks such as like Diablo, Johanna, just random stuff like that. So we just feel like it's a better pick, and it's good to pick early because that way we don't have to worry about getting tanks banned out against us. Like the second game, we had a few like I think 4 tanks ended up or 3 tanks ended up being banned or something.
Yep.
So we just like to pick them up early, and then the Johanna is also kind of a fairly neutral pick, so it doesn't really show what we're gonna do or anything. So
That's true. It definitely doesn't show anything since Johanna, especially on Tomb of the Spider Queen, is a map where like she's good on, and well, if you're prioritizing wave clear, for instance, then you've already kind of secured your wave clear.
hmm
So, the only problem that I have with that is, are you guys not concerned by them essentially turning around and picking up essentially lots of power picks? Like, I feel like Miss Mai missed their opportunity to draft in that if they had, they could have picked up Malfurion. In both games, they allowed you to ban out the Malfurion and take the Stukov. And then they also could have still picked up someone like Hanzo or Phoenix against you, which is pretty powerful picks. Are you guys not concerned about like essentially giving quote unquote the power picks over to your opponent?
yeah, we're not really worried about that. Like we're not worried about Malfurion to be honest. We used to pick him up, but I think we've kind of come to the realization that Stukov is because there's like the power creep between like not creep, but it's like there's Malfurion and there's Stukov,
Yep.
and then there's kind of like all the other healers,
Yeah.
and we've just kind of figured out that Stukov is so much better than Malfurion at this point.
Yeah.
So we're not worried about Malfurion. The only other healer we were kind of worried about, like that second game, I was kind of telling my team, I'm like, well, maybe we should ban like a ban an Alexstrasza so that way they don't beat us in team fights. But we let it through and they ended up picking it. But
Mhm.
the power picks kind of like Phoenix and Hanzo. I mean, we're not really worried about them because they can only pick so many. Like me and Byron can literally flex for any DPS in the game, so we don't really care about that. We just want to have have a good tank, something that our tank player is comfortable on. That way, the DPS can just clean it up.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, if your, I guess, smallest hero pool player is also your tank, then you also can, you know, you have to kind of like draft for around that too. Can't essentially say, well, pick up the Hanzo and Phoenix first in the draft if your tank player is going to be banned out of, good tanks and or his tank pool.
Yeah, that I mean, just to mention, that's certainly a problem actually with our team because I think the first like four games, the first like two matches, we just went Diablo. I don't think we've played a single match from now on where Diablo was not first banned. Like
That's
almost
hilarious.
every game it's first banned against us, and that was something we struggled with. But I feel like our tank player really came through it, and now he hasn't played a new bracket in a while, and he did fairly decent. What was the second or the first game? The Johanna. I mean, you can't really be that bad with Johanna, but he's. So I mean, we're starting to get away from the the reliance on Diablo, so that's a good thing to learn as a team.
Yeah, that definitely is. So, um, that gives me my sort of my next question of do you, aside from you were saying yourself and I'm not sure who else you mentioned, are your flex pool pretty large, would you say, or is it kind of, it's flexible but not terribly large?
Essentially, as far as DPS goes, I can play basically anything except, I mean, I can play mages too, but they're not as good. Byron is usually the mage player if we ever pick mages or whatnot. But um, I mean, yeah, we have a pretty good flex pool because I mean Byron can also heal too if we ever need to do that. Like he plays a pretty good Malfurion, so.
Okay. So in the second game, tell me about the Cassia pick, because I saw your team and I was like, so here was my thoughts in the first game. I didn't actually like your draft in the first game. The second game, I liked your draft a lot, but I was like wondering why the Cassia pick. I thought it didn't really matter what you guys put there because it would be. It seemed like it was okay. The four that you had already drafted, and Cassia is just kind of like getting slotted in and can do whatever. So what was the actual logic behind Cassia versus like anyone else?
Well, with how prevalent Phoenix is, we've definitely, played against that a lot, and we feel that Cassia is really good against Phoenix. We've also played Cassia with Maev, and that always works out if you just Warden's Cage, and then Cassia just jumps in and charge strikes. Just it's so much burst damage. At the time too, they picked the Hanzo, and at least as far as I know, uh, Redemption's best build. I mean, there's also Simple Geometry, which he went, but it's also a good hedge against that. I can't remember, but we were actually debating between two characters, and it was like Cassia or something else, because we didn't really know what the last DPS should be. So I can't remember what else we were debating about, but yeah, I can't remember, but we just Cassie is something we like. We feel like she's a very underrated hero. So
Mhm. I can agree with that, especially with the current meta, which actually has a large amount of non mages. Although Hanzo essentially plays just as much like a mage between
hmm
all his builds, but aside from that, like there isn't a large focus on mages in the current meta.
mm
So, uh, you said your team had been struggling a little bit. What's kind of like improved a lot for you guys, like, or helped you guys improve?
communication definitely a big improvement because we used to we I'm the shot caller essentially,
Okay.
and I'm the DPS, so there's kind of like a rough connection between me and the tank
Hmm.
in some cases. So like we won't announce when we're going in or whatnot. So communication is definitely a key. Um, I think we've practicing. Whenever we go to practice, we've turned them more or less from like just like, let's just screw around a quick match to actual like, we're trying to work on this and this and this, and we're gonna do that. Um, Other than that, like I think the morale was down because the our 4 matches from uh, week 3 and 4, we were facing. I think we faced all the top 3 plus another one in the top 4 or 5. So those were hard matches, and we certainly did not play well
Hmm.
either. And I think that kind of brought us down, so um we didn't really recover. And I guess just working on the whole attitude aspect was pretty key today.
Yeah, it'll definitely help a lot. I mean, if you go in expecting to lose, you probably lose. And it
Yeah.
also, a lot of people will then try significantly less, even if you're not coming into a game expecting to lose. People will just tend to try less, and it'll just show in their play.
Mm-hmm.
So you were saying you're the main shot caller for the team.
Yep.
So for drafting, is that kind of like a democratic kind of process? Is it a dictatorship? And it kind of like how does the shot calling compare to like drafting?
Uh, I mean, for the it's kind of democratic, but it's also kind of like I'll kind of say stuff, and then the team's kind of like, oh, that's pretty good, or oh, that that's um maybe that's not the best. But for the most part, usually, I mean, sometimes I'll just come up with like random stuff, and I'll just be like, um, we should try this, and it's kind of out of the box, but it'll work. But for the most part, I guess it's democratic. We'll just kind of just mix ideas around. Like I'll just look at the hero pool and I'll be like, well, we can go this, 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 and everybody's like, okay, well, we like this.
Okay,
So
that makes sense. So for shot calling, is it kind of the same thing where you present options and the team kind of like helps you choose, or is it more like they feed you information and you kind of choose what to do?
see, that's funny because unlike drafting, there really is no option. If I say I'm going in, is my team's following me. Like
Yeah.
honestly, that's how we do it. Like, um, usually I'm on the hyper, so like like I'll be like I'm looking for this, and everybody will just like kind of be like, oh, okay, now we're getting serious. Or our tank player's been starting to shot call a little bit as well, or just call out stuff. So
Mhm.
that's good. But um except for the occasional like, oh, I think we should grab this merc camp from everybody else. It's kind of also
Okay.
just me.
Yeah. Well, are there any shout outs you'd like to give before we head off?
Yes, I'll shout out to my team and Miss My E. It was a good match. Um, Shout out to probably 2 or 3 friends I have watching. It's actually funny because even our team is just a bunch of high schoolers.
Okay.
We're all friends in real life or whatnot, and we have friends that don't even play HOTS. And like, hey, I want to watch this too. So we always send them the link. So
Nice.
shout out to those people for not knowing absolutely at all what's going on, but still watching. And then shout out to you for casting this because we love to watch these replays and hear what everybody else has to think.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime. So thanks so much for coming and playing and like putting on a good show for everyone who is watching.
Yep, thank you.
Best of luck in the rest of your series for the season, and hopefully you continue the upward trend now that you guys kind of have some really good, I'd say like good reason to have uplifted spirits with potentially being number 2 um, by the end of this week and getting a really solid victory over Miss Mai. And I'm guessing it sounded like you guys also had a second domination from right before, so double
Yes.
dominations. Or yeah, hopefully you guys come into the week 6. I think this is week 5 now. Week
Hmm.
6 with a can of whoop ass ready to bust on people.
Oh, you know it.
All right.
All right.
Thanks so much and
Yep.
have a good night.
Thank you too.
All right, guys.